So I read the news a lot because as I'm monitoring my body, I'm also monitoring world events. How does trade relate to what I'm feeling right now? How does Chuck being in Canada relate to what I'm being right now? What major sporting event is happening nearby? How are people traveling differently than ordinary, and why do I feel differently than ordinary? Does that have any bearing? And usually it does, and that has led me to discover some of the substances that I have been exposed to, where they might come from. And then I have a literal history degree that I use to look into things that might have happened. And then there's these strange memories of things. You know, um, you know, there are things that one of the things that I need to explain to some of the people out there is that when you um, have entered the art world through me, you have entered a system in which you will have a damasana that you will not interact. You don't have his phone number, and you will have periodically things will change in your environment in order to stage you. And when you have an art event, it may not be known to you. As you get older, you may become more salient of these things. And it depends on your own journey through this world and who you're catering to, who your patron decides to expose you to, will be in charge of your development. Your obligations in our tradition, you cannot be in our tradition unless you have some obligation either current or previous to the Royal Court of Japan. So that if you have court obligations to other courts, there are other branches of this as well. So things around you will change and shift. You will be, for a long time, especially when you're younger, you're going to look like a ragamuffin. You're going to be under a lot of stress. It really depends on how public your role at court is going to be, and that has to do a lot with trends in public opinion. And it's a constant discussion, it's just the likelihood today, and the different men and their involvement in financial obligation and social obligation. How can that meet? You're a pretty low priority, and yet you are a necessary connector for a lot of different things. And one of those things is personal individual seems to have a very strong affinity to Chuck and the Windsors.